TV review: Star Trek Discovery on CBS and CBS All Access. When Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, first meets Captain Gabriel Lorca, Jason Isaacs, his room is dimly lit. He mutters something about an eye condition requiring low light, but, as with most of his statements, there appears to be information the captain is deliberately refusing to share. Lorca's lair is far from the only interior on Star Trek Discovery that is shadowy. As Burnham frequently negotiates dark corridors and murky settings, one thing becomes clear: Discovery is trying, with some success, to convey that this is not your father's Star Trek. It might be your mother's, if she is a fan of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is widely considered to be the best of the Trek TV efforts. To forestall nerd debates, yes, each Federation series has its merits, but Deep Space Nine and The Next Generation top most critics' lists. The later seasons of Deep Space Nine depicted an array of conflicted characters, led by Benjamin Sisko, an African-American captain played by Avery Brooks, fighting a grinding, complicated war that sapped their energy and challenged their ethics even as it strengthened their bonds of friendship and love. It was serialized, a rarity back then for any drama, let alone a Trek series, and it grew more and more character-oriented over time. At first glance, Discovery appears to be paying some homage to the spirit of DS9. Ongoing story arcs are woven through the first 3 episodes and clearly will continue beyond those hours, and its resourceful protagonist has as many challenges in front of her as Sisko often did. Of course, Discovery has yet to prove itself a worthy successor to The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine or Battlestar Galactica, where several DS9 writers ended up after the Trek series ended. But there are reasons to hope that Discovery will be a promising addition to the Trek canon. If it capitalizes on the conflicts at its core, and if it embraces the ambiguity and complexity baked into its DNA, Discovery could provide viewers with the kind of character-driven, space-set sci-fi narrative that has long been missing from the television scene. It's early days yet, and the CBS All Access drama, which contains some wobbly elements, may let lapse into the usual array of Alien of the Week formulas, but this voyage has potential. The first 3 hours of Star Trek Discovery provides serviceable space opera and reasonably exciting interstellar battles. And as a whole, the drama takes the optimism at the core of Gene Roddenberry's vision and, in the tradition of the best of the Star Trek canon, uses it to examine the choices of well-intentioned characters faced with compromises, mysteries, alien cultures and moral dilemmas. Discovery may be set in a time of war, but it is not uniformly grim. There are some welcome comedic touches that hit the mark without detracting from the drama's generally earnest approach. It's worth noting that there's also a fair bit of the original Star Trek woven into Discovery's premise, given that it's set about a decade before the events of that program. Even the communicators look like the flip devices of old. But there's one detail that unites all the Trek series, including this one: there are always Jefferies tubes. Discovery had a difficult gestation process, and so there are a number of narrative hiccups, likely resulting from the departure of original showrunner Brian Fuller, while Season 1 was still being mapped out. A few plot points and character arcs don't quite track, and some aspects of the show haven't gelled yet. The Klingons, who are dangerous enemies in this world, are very elaborately garbed, and their scenes are often ponderous and too slow. The actors give their level best, but they labor under imposing facial prosthetics that make their expressions hard to read. Another complaint: the new Federation uniforms are terrible. Why give these capable officers panels of disco-friendly gold cloth on their hips? But relatively speaking, these are quibbles. The core mission of Discovery is to make viewers care about Burnham, and it succeeds in that regard. Martin Green is charismatic and quietly forceful in the lead role, and her character is an outsider in many ways, which gives Discovery's writers a lot of interesting psychological territory to explore. Her professional relationships in the present and her personal bonds from the past are mostly fraught and complicated, and Discovery's handling of those aspects of her story may well determine whether it becomes must-see viewing or not. The capable cast around Martin Green, which includes Doug Jones, Isaacs, Anthony Rapp and Mary Wiseman, all make fine first impressions.